couple minutes early because I just heard something on YouTube I didn't want to dwell on. Just saying. See if I can set this up a little bit, then set up our music and try to get what I heard on YouTube out of my mind. See, this is what I normally would be doing for a couple minutes and then start the stream, but man, I mean, this chick was kind of fucking creepy. I mean, Leticia creepy. So, I'll for my other channel. Now, this selection is called Zinch's Witchcraft. Hello. Hello, Buttercup. We just got done with the music part of our program since everyone for necessity to do this is already here. They're just letting everyone get settled in, and I'm getting myself together while they get themselves together. I had some scrap sheets over here set just for this. I kind of got my area all set up kind of around me to where I have everything I need for the game, but you can't quite see it. Okay. Got characters here, got book to roll on here. Now, I was going to set this up differently. I wasn't feeling so great for a part of the day. So, rather than me drop dice everywhere with seizures or trembles, you know, I'm going to... Because I was going to have this set up where you just saw the dice roll. But, you know, we're going to do this differently considering I don't feel the greatest. Well, yeah, Smelly. You know, that's why I, you know, picked the time I did so, you know, you'd have at least a chance of getting dinner in. And once again, I did kind of plan for that, which is why I did pick this time of day to do it. Because, you know, I can always start with other characters' stuff before you. Well, it'll be fun later on when I do set it up like that, because it'll be a little drama. And that was the whole point of it, was, you know, a little bit of drama. But if I'm going to drop them all over the place and it's going to be more of a negative than a positive, you know, we're going to do it this way. And oh no, this will be fun. See, this is one reason why we're starting with champions. It is so easy. Now, my games used to start off with D&D. And then when other people started playing the champions, you know, it started getting played more than the D&D. And like I say, it's very simple to do. You know, once you know how to write up the characters in the system, it only takes 3 6-sided dice. So, you know, it's something that you can basically do anywhere if you got a folder and a few dice. Well, we'll go a little slow, but you see, we're also going to develop the world. Because a part of this entertainment is you'll get to see this in your mind from a movie aspect. Buttercup, my hand has done this on and off since I've been 28 years old. So well, not actually before 28 years old, but it's just something not to worry about. You know, today we're here for games and fun. Outside of drama and vlogs. And now here is Rachel's character Dragonfly. I'm a little bit hoarse. Here is the Kitty P.U. Rotten Bottom. And here is Fuck You. Fuck You. Actually, because of YouTube, I'm going to have to fudge your name, by the way. I'll probably just call you Fa or Fuck a lot. So I have your characters right here. And you're going to be the main team. Now, once again, I have... Okay, Findar, you're here. So now I have come up with a part of the background issue using you. Now, how much did you watch of the last live? Because if you watched all of the last live, I can save an explanation. If you didn't watch all of the last live, then I must give an explanation. Hello, Linda. Waiting on the Pindar. Now, unfortunately, on this channel, there will be some wait time to where on my other one. Okay, well, Pindar, I have created all of this to be a tie-in scenario. You know, much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I explained this at the last of the live, that all of this will tie in with some things that you will see in the movies. Because anything that they put on the screen superhero-wise, I can recreate pretty well in this game. Now, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to do a multiverse scenario. So, because of your origins, we are going to create our own multiverse scenario. Now, when you're because the Marvel's creating the movies, so by the time they create the movies, you're going to be experienced super people. And then there's going to be crossovers for entertainment. So that will be a part of the campaign. Now, you have picked an extra-dimensional reptilian that has to come to Earth because your arch-nemesis has stolen the royal eggs. And she is an artifact collector. Well, she has an artifact that can transform, or not transform, but can transport across dimensions. Now, she stole that artifact because, well, the eggs, because of an artifact. She has a staff that can control reptilian beings. So she was able just to basically walk in and take the eggs, and no one could stop her. And of course, now she's back on Earth, and since you are reptilian, that means that staff can affect you. Now, once again, with your abilities, that pull you have, you could use that to protect yourself from the staff. Now, unfortunately, protecting yourself with that will mean you don't have that ability to use. So this is a part of the tie-in. Now, also I explained the Hermit. We will be introducing him in the very beginning. He will be the first NPC that you guys encounter. Now, he's going to be your helper, but he is a wizard of this world. Now, he isn't your flashy wizard. He's not even severely powerful. He's just a leave me the hell alone kind of wizard. But an alternate of him in another universe was not a just leave me alone wizard. He was an extremely bad guy wizard who has now shown up in your universe to conquer it, which is bad. So, you know, you're going to meet a fairly nice fellow with moderate power, and unfortunately there's another version of out there that is severely overpowered that is out to destroy your life and everyone else's. Now, this is how Thelma got some of her artifacts, because this bad wizard has been infiltrating your world with other super beings, and super beings in your world are fairly low powered. You know, there's no one on the realm of Superman. You know, there's some people with superpowers, but you know, they don't devastate cities yet. Now, the thing is, there are starting to be a few really powerful supervillains, but there's no equally powerful superheroes. So the government is trying to create their own super beings, which now and then will create more problems than help. Just saying, you know, I'm just letting that slip right now. Once again, the evil wizard is helping, and this all ties in together. You know, once again, Pindar's nemesis is actually going to be a part of the greater whole plot. Now, once again, the reason for the royal eggs was because they're the royals. They were the most powerful of your people. You know, they are the equivalent of super beings. And that's why she stole them. Because, once again, she has a staff that can control reptilians. So, once again, she raises those eggs. She actually has her own team of supervillains. And the only thing that stands between that is you, Pindar. Yes, but before she ends up... Now, the thing is I don't know how many eggs there were. Now, you and I will have to, outside of gameplay, we'll have to decide that on our own. You know, and how many eggs there were. But, you know, being reptilian, you know, I could say there could probably be up to a dozen. Maybe even more. I could be in error on that. But, you know, once again, you know, Thelma, you know, remember how you said you wanted her to be kind of Cruella de Vil? Well, she is. But instead of stealing puppies for her for a coat, she's trying to steal people that are beings from your world to be supervillains for her in this one. So yes, this is a part of the overall plot. Now, once again, you know, you're not going to encounter the big wizard anytime soon. You guys will be fighting his minions for a long time, and I've done some work this week, and he's got a lot of minions, put it that way. I was able to go through the hero bestiary and go through a lot of the fantasy stuff, and he's able to throw a lot into your world real quick. Now, just to drop a few things real quick, like one of them is a set of succubus, Demonica and Diabolica. And one of your early scenarios, I have thought of it now. Normally I won't drop these things, but since you are new players, you know, I'm going to try to give you something now and then to entice you. Because as a game master, I thought, how best to introduce some other heroes? Well, once again, going through the few that I've created, seem to be male. And once again, these succubus have the power to control men. So this is another interesting aspect about, you know, these two villains, is you will be the main thing to defeat them because you're all girls. They can't control your mind. And then, once again, I mean, it's just a frickin' succubus. You know, the wizard can easily shield his mind from a succubus's influence. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, your average men, they'll have them at their feet. And then they also have a little group of demonic thissies and thatties. You know, they like in the book has a demon mount, so, you know, each of the succubus will have their own demon mount. And they're not, well, like I say, I'm starting off with a lot of low-powered stuff, and some of your low-powered enemies you may never see again. Now, you know, like Batman, there's going to be enemies of yours that's going to pop up again and again, and there's going to be Nemesis, and Nemesis may die, and new Nemesis may pop up, and well, Pindart's even worse than that. I mean, with that staff, you know, she can make reptile people do suicidal things. You know, she was, your shell person was able to go up to the first guards and just say, "Follow me," and all the military people started following her instead of killing her, and walked right in the palace and took him and walked right out to the gate. And I would say that the royals were really, really mad. I'm just saying, I mean, all of a sudden all of your people do whatever she wants. And that's why they just sent you. Because you have your ability that if you harness all that, you can protect yourself from it. But if they sent anyone else, they would be vulnerable to the mind control. And then they would have just what happened in the palace. Or they would betray and kill you. So that's another reason why you were sent here, you know, to recover them. But unfortunately, rather than bring a force of your own people, you're going to be forced to take on human allies. You see, this is also another clever way of making everyone want to be cooperative together. So, you know, because I noticed that as a game runner, it's nice that if the heroes many times understand what is at stake. And once again, you're just getting started. And now, what you have picked is a villain with Belle Michelle. You know, she is a master villain like a Lex Luthor. Many times fighting you, she's always going to be using a cat's paw. And I've created one of them, you know. In one of them's Jimbo the Clown. Yeah, because, see, since you decided to pick that, I'm going to make certain silly theme villains. You know, you pick Velma Shell to be your nemesis. So, you know, one of her first minions against you is going to be Jimbo the Clown. Now, Rachel, what do you do for a living? Now, see, this is where, you know, it's time to talk about secret identities. The great thing about Pindar is Pindar has a public identity. You know, Pindar just goes around being fuck you. You know, there's no, what are you doing? Well, I'm going around being an alien reptile. So, you know, but you unfortunately have a secret identity. So, what do you do for a living? And well, you know, see, once again, your character can develop. I mean, male players now and then, if no one's looking, sometimes do roast someone. Just saying. Well, being a lizard's kind of hard to have a professional career. You know, that whole no social security number thing. And that's a problem when you come from another dimension. It's really hard to get a job. Now, Smelly, I'm going to need to know her secret identity thingy too. But she was making dinner. But once again, this is why I did pick this time, because it wouldn't be too late for everyone else, and I can always start with other people's characters. Now, okay, I got you out, and I forgot to get the wizard out. Oh, it's okay, Smelly. I've got this all planned out like this. It's just I don't know what your character's secret identity is, because I'm trying to put this all together in my head as I go. Because like a D&D adventure where you get all the characters together, that is the thing that I have to do right now. And I just kind of need to know what you do in your secret identity. Well, it wasn't wrote down, so, you know. Well, we're not meant to be. You know, this is just the informal start. That's why it says the Gathering of Champions on the thing. No, actually, his background, you can create anything. I mean, you can be a princess or you can be a bag lady. I mean, now if you want to have wealth, you know, you buy that as a perk. But, you know, if you wanted to be someone of royal background, you could. You could even not be of this earth, but, you know, considering you're a Luranthrope, you know, I'd say, yeah, you're of this earth. But in reality, you could actually be very, very old. You know, you could actually be from the Middle Ages. Or you could just be a fresh off the assembly line kitty girl. You know, someone could have just bit you. A boyfriend. Okay. Well, that would be interesting. Okay, he's got 30, 13 or less. Ah. Well, Buttercup, I'm working on that. Yeah, I'm working on that. But, you know, this is This is something that's been worked over for a few years. So, well, you can be an alien taxidermist. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, that could be your profession. Now, that tells me that at some point you may stuff Thelma. Now, I make that joke, but to let you know, in the regular Champions game, their version of Doctor Doom was called Doctor Destroyer. And in the very first module, there was a woman that sold Doctor Destroyer out. And when Champions was a much older game, you defeated him in another big super adventure, and you find that woman in his vault stuffed. You're going to say, I'm trying to think, Dr. Destroyer could probably beat everything that I've made for our campaign, all at the same time. You know, he was a team that all of my characters that had played for years and years had to fight together. Yes, Smelly, you can be. Yeah, and that would, you know, solve some problems. Now, if you're a kitty girl mercenary, that means you're working for naughty people sometimes. Just saying. Now, we all decided that this is going to be called Champion City. So I don't have to ask you where you live, because we all have tried it, or decided on it. I'm not smoking enough. I need more pot. I'm tipping over my words. Okay, so we have Rachel in the bookstore. Now, I'm not going to tell you what state the city's in. We're just going to guess. You see, with the way it is, you know, that way there's a little mystery to it. Unless, you know, at some point we will decide, but right now we'll just leave it kind of nebulous. Well, actually, Rachel, I mean, in the long run, you are probably going to be the most powerful one. You know, just saying, you know, with abilities the way they are. Now, Pindar, because the fact that of alien stuff, will be able to get an easy variety. You know, because Pindar's from an alien, you know, world in another dimension. You know, basically Pindar can get whatever Pindar wants because Pindar's from an alien planet in an alien dimension. Hello, Kentucky. Now, remember, Smelly, what you can buy. You remember what we told you in the future you can buy with experience points? Now, because I'm going to have, oh shit, I forgot to write up the Hermit's disadvantages. Oh well, I guess he doesn't have any right now. He's managed to hide his disadvantages from me because I forgot to write them up. Because see, when you're running this game, it's what you do at first. You kind of overview the character before to remember what he has, and then you kind of flip through his disadvantages to see how he would act, and then you're kind of ready to start. And I forgot to write up his disadvantages, which he'll get some for next week, but right now he has none. Sneaky bastard. Oh. Well, actually, you can just add some body points for that. And get more stun for it, too. Now, Smelly, you got me thinking silly. You got me off track. You're allowed to, because that's what this game is all about. I'm just not used to running it like I used to, because it's been decades. So, So there it is. Now, looking over what I've done with the Hermit, I kind of made him magical Batman in many ways. You know, he's not going to go around and, you know, do all the stuff that Batman could, but he's got detective work and several other things. So, you know, he's already found out where some of you are. Probably not. I am doing this too. Okay, he's got a 20 point. I'm doing math. Because you see, the Hermit, he has a very low magic pool. It's just by using limitations, I can make it do great effect. So, unfortunately for him, one of those effects is over time. So, he might cast a spell, and 3 days later it happens, but at a much greater power than what he can. So I was actually doing that at 14 or less here. Okay. He can do that. Because I have to roll for what he can see. Since he is a character, I'm not just going to do the God thing and have him find you. He actually has to make the rolls with his abilities. So, now, I did forget what Rachel said that her secret identity name is. Now, see, this is stuff that over time I will remember. And I don't know what your secret identity name is. Ah ha 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 ha. Hello, Jennifer. We are starting a Champions campaign. And we're not quite playing yet. We're working up to it. And we are going to be playing here in just a little bit. We're just setting everything up. Well, yeah, because, you know, I was actually to the point where I need it. You know, it's just for role play, really. You know, your name can be whatever it is. Matter of fact, I could start with, hello, insert name here. Which, well, fortunately, there's only character sheets and 3 dice. And they only have 6 sides. I mean, it's not even the fancy dice. Okay. Well, Jesse, you're sitting there getting your books. Would he be an ass? No, he wouldn't do that to your secret identity. I was actually thinking about the character for a minute. He thought about throwing something at you, but no, he's just going to go at you with the human approach. No, I forgot about something. Oh, yes, I forgot about something. He is going to come in with the human approach. He's not going to do anything odd. Now, unfortunately for you, Jessica, you're sitting there minding your own business, you know, checking out a customer, and there's a man that reminiscently looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in sunglasses that has come in with an Uzi. And you are faster than this man with an Uzi. Now, once again, to refresh your powers. Now, unfortunately for you, you're in your secret identity. Now, you have your energy blast, you have your killing blast, you have your flash, you have your flight. You can dispel darkness, and of course your energy absorption is kind of irrelevant when it comes to bullets. Now, unfortunately, you know, this is a bad secret identity moment. You know, once again, you know, this being has a gun. but you're in your secret identity. What you are seem to be quicker. It is your first move. What do you want to do? Good plan. Huh. Double check. He's got a big long list. But you know what? The machine from the future forgot to put any splash defense on the screen. I was actually expecting it to have at least some, but no. It has been blinded and seems to be quite well, and all the customers are running out, and it is starting to spray bullets into the stand. And everyone is out of this bookstore area. Hello, Leonard. So it is your move again. Now, seriously, the alien computer from the future, they're going to need to work on that. Okay, you have fired the blast of light, and it has hit the gun. The gun is destroyed. Now, you can see where the gun has been blasted. You can see that his hands are made of metal. Because there's little silvery spots all through where the gun was destroyed. And you can see, like I say, slivers of metal all off each of his hands. You made your perception roll. He does not look to be human to you. And you do get to go again. Now, for your killing attack, we will just refer that as intense beam. Or an intense blast, however you want to phrase it. Now, he is blinded, so you are actually going to get a +4 on your next attack. Okay, well, you lead him with your voice, and you can actually see it looks like he's starting to focus on you as you fire your first blast. And you had a bonus. You rolled a 12, but fortunately you had a 4 on bonus on this, so you hit easily. Now, you burned a hole right here, and you can definitely see he's a robot. Now, you get to go again, but now he has a pistol pointed right at you. So it is your turn. You're going to find that when you blind someone, you're going to tend to get a lot of turns. Okay. He's blinded again. Now, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that's entire. You can shoot him 5 times in a row right now if you wish. Once again, to make this easier on you as a new player, rather than just, tell you it's your turn, your turn, your turn. You get to go 5 times before he's unblinded. So you can hit him with that intense blast 5 times in a row if you like. I'm having to wait for the lag to catch up. The first one, you actually missed the first one. Now, you didn't miss the others. No, you didn't. And the second and the third time, you hit him with double damage. Okay. Well, it took all 4 shots, but you have now ripped it in half, and it is short-circuited. You burnt all of the skin off of it, and you see a metallic skeleton in front of you, and its red eyes just go completely out. You have now killed your first Terminator. And there's an old guy in a gray robe and a gray hat that says, "Come with me if you want to live." I thought I'd throw that in as a silly. Okay. Well, he actually leads you in the back room to the stock room. And you see he's looking at books along the way, and he pulls out a magic stone. And it's green. And then it just gets bigger and bigger. And then it glows. And then everything just goes green, and you're gone. And then you're somewhere else, in the woods. And you're looking at a lizard who's humanoid, who's looking at you awful funny. And it sounds very French. Now, fortunately for you, the wizard does have the ability to use his pool as a universal translator. It's okay, Smelly. See, this is how I figured it out. See, we're not even to the part we need you yet. That's why I picked the time that we did. I knew many times you'd be fooling with dinner, and I could do the other people first. And we're at the point now to where the wizard has now met Rachel. Rachel has met a Terminator from the future that's going to come back to kill you, and she has dealt with the attack killer robot. She has met the wizard. He has transported her, and has now just met Pindar. In Pindar, there's 2 strange humans that have just appeared in front of you. And now all of a sudden, after a moment or two, you can understand what they're saying for the first time. Well, Smelly, you can play your own robots. Jade? Well, the wizard is a man of few words, and with his limited pool, You know, a lot of the things that he will do is actually going to be easy effects. Now, what he's using right now is light images. And he creates a image of Thelma Shell and a bunch of eggs. So, you know, once again, you know, he's a man of few words. And unfortunately, I need a utensil. You know what? And when I started this, I got everything in the universe that I possibly needed sitting around me for this. You know, all set up here nice. But I forgot one thing. Something to stir the pipe with. Okay, we know next time the one thing that I did forget. A pipe stirrer. So we'll just have to do our best and try not to break our pencil head. Silly Roger. This thing has a very narrow hole in it. Now, there is another reason why the alien wizard is so quiet. Because he knows that the alternate version of himself is behind everything. So once again, if he gets too chatty with you, you know, and lets you know too much, you can find out that he is mostly at fault. Now, Smelly, you don't know it, but you know, the wizard has known about you for some time. Because you're an alluranthrope. You know, he keeps track of your kind. You know, because once again, he knows when you got bit. He knows who bit you. Well, you've not met him yet, though it will be very soon. Now, fortunately for you, there's no hunter cyborgs in the woods. Now, see, this is what I'm considering a reoccurring hunted. Now, I'm going to stop and explain the little game stuff. Now, I'm starting with the basic rules as they were originally written. Over time, they made more additions and rule expansions. Now, in their rule expansions, super teams could have a base, and bases would have advantages and disadvantages. So, what I am doing right now with the Hunter Cyborgs, I am creating points for your base. Because even though you're not on your character sheet got hunted by cyborgs from the future, when we create your base, we can take that as a part of your disadvantages for that. You know, that you guys are hunted by cyborgs from the future, and that will be worth X amount of points that you will be able to, like, buy yourself a jet with, or a magic carpet, or Pindar, whatever alien thing that Pindar's people use. Or, you know, you can, well, like I say, just whatever you want. I mean, even a pet. Or a sidekick for a base. Or a servant. You know, like the original Avengers had Jarvis, who wasn't a computer. Well, actually, Rachel, it depends. Are you an employee or do you own it? Now, if you do own the bookstore, you know, that's something I should have asked ahead of time. But, you know, it's been a long time since I've done this. So, you know, we'll just have to wing it as we go. And this is why we're Gathering the Champions as the title of this. Because, you know, we're just working at it. You know, hopefully next time it will all be more polished and I will remember to have a stirrer here. Okay, well that's simple. So yes, you can now. Now I feel silly. Yes, I do. Just a minute. I feel utterly silly. Oh shit! What was? I hate YouTube ads.
Empire has been choking us so slowly.
Empire's a
Time has
dick.
come to force their hand.
Meanwhile, behind the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore.
Yes, behind the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore. Cosmic Monsters Incorporated by Rob Zombie begin with it. Now, fortunately, it'll be a kind of interesting because how that will develop, you'll have Pindar sitting there learning and reading English. And you can buy languages. Now, for like 2 or 3 points, you can buy basic English. You know, like 2 English, basic English with an accent. 3 fairly fluent, 4 fluent, like 5 fluent, no accent. So yes, Pindar, that is one thing you can do is you can buy English. Now, you can also use your pool, because that's basically what the wizard's doing, is using his pool as the universal translator power. Now, once again, you can use your pool if you make a roll in this same way. But until you use English, that will be how you really have to communicate with other people. Now, the other thing, Pindar, is with that you can also do telepathy. With your pool also. So, I mean, if Pindar wants to, you don't even have to speak to the dumb monkey with language. You can speak directly to their mind. Once again, that's the great thing about a pool, is it will let you use all varied abilities, but you can only use one thing at a time, at whatever level your pool grants. Actually, the wizard looks at you and he says that he's a Pict. I know you don't know what a Pict is, but, being an alien lizard, but yes, he claims he's a bit Pictish. Now, that is a clue, once again, for Rachel, that the wizard's a bit perhaps older than you think. Well, the thing is, Pindar, of my character Mangrel, he had his throat cut. So he's a lizard that growls. So, with Mangrel, that's always one interesting thing about him. He's not a hissy lizard. He's a growly lizard. Because he had his throat cut from here to here, so he doesn't hiss. In my book, that's kind of, one interesting thing about him, because everyone's expecting him to be a hissy talker. And, it comes out like someone that sounds like that. He smokes like 25 packs of cigarettes a day. And that was one way that, because he had a twin brother. So, sometimes, if you couldn't see a scar, that was the way that you could tell the two of them apart. One of them is a hissy talker, and one of them's a growly talker. because his brother cut his throat and threw him down a well. See, that was his nemesis. You know, Mangrel's nemesis was his brother. His brother, when they were young, cut his throat and threw him down a well. And ever since then, they've been trying to kill each other. Remember how we talked about, you know, each character having their own nemesis? Well, that was Mangrel's nemesis, his brother. And that's why Mangrel wasn't a hissy lizard, because big gash across his neck. Well, when you're evil, you know, brotherly fighting can get a bit out of hand. Now, Smelly, you said that you are a mercenary. You're doing dark, naughty deeds. And unfortunately for you, you have a compulsion. Yes. And you have an extreme compulsion to go into the woods, and you cannot help yourself. Yes, you're going for a walk through nature. You don't want to walk through nature. Matter of fact, you keep getting distracted along the way, but you just have to go on. I mean, this is very unlike you. Now, you don't know it, but in the past, the wizard has already visited you. And he cast a Geas spell on you, which, when he activates it, basically compels you to come to him. Once again, remember I said that many of his spells have to take over time advantages in order to get enough oomph to do what they want? So, you know, he really doesn't have the ability to teleport all of you guys to Smelly, but ahead of the time, he made a way to make Smelly come to you. So yes, and then you'll go there and you'll see a strange lizard creature, a woman, and that strange man that you keep seeing and smelling. Because he never uses deodorant. No, he doesn't. That's why you always remember him. He doesn't use any of the normal products that people of our age use. And once again, he says, I'm glad you've all decided to come to this very spot. Now, he's not sure why, or not sure what, because see, this goes back to him. He looks a bit uncomfortable. Now, the reason, of course, it's like he doesn't want to explain that his other self is going to destroy the world, and his other self is the reason that Pendar had to come here. And once again, now you see, another thing his other one does, when he comes to another world, he attacks it with minor super beings. And some of them are were creatures. And that is actually how Smelly got her powers. Yes, one of the creatures that he cast a were curse, or people that he cast a were curse on, bit you. So, you know, in reality, he is at fault for your eggs being stolen. He is at fault for Smelly being a Loranthrope. So, you know, those are two of his sins right there. Now, Rachel, he has absolutely nothing to do with your light powers. Just saying. But yes, as for the rest of this, it is all his fault. Well, he's not telling you that. But, you know, this is the comic book aspect. You know, if you're reading this as a comic book, you know, many of your issues was all of his fault. You know, his long-term spells in this dimension kind of got the attention of his other self. Because his other self could do all of this with just one cast. So it kind of had the lighthouse effect. So, you know, instead of doing something like this real quick, it was just a slow pulse. Something he's never seen anywhere else. Because usually his alters in other dimensions, they're evil too. Yes, it seems that you in your dimension got the good version of him. Unfortunately, the good version of him doesn't go around blasting tanks. Now, once again, the other version of him can blow tanks away. Now, once again, if he wants to blow tanks away, he'll have to plan for it. There'll have to be a tank here in 6 weeks. Exactly. So, once again, he is a part of this whole issue. Now, he doesn't know it, but we're tying this in with the Marvel multiverse movies. So, when Marvel creates the characters and make the movies, you guys in your world are going to interact, and basically, your villain and the Marvel villain are going to team up, and then you and the Marvel heroes will have to team up against the villains. But of course, you will have to fight each other first because it is a damn comic book movie. Now, he is going to, obviously, how are you going to do this? I gotta think, because see, once again, we're, a lot of your heroic wizards are very open. This one's not. Okay, I have a ability roll. Okay, didn't have no effect. Now you see, one thing he has is luck. Now what his is built, there's a power luck, and then you can have luck powers. Now the simple power of luck is if something's going really bad, you can roll it. And if you roll ones, you get an advantage. Like if one rolls a 1, something minor happens. Something major. If you roll 3, something just spectacularly can save the day. And I'm explaining this to you because this is a simple power that you can buy with no reason for it. Now, he has that because right now he needs to come up with a good explanation, but he's not a social being. And he's also much older than you, so he doesn't quite understand you. Put it that way. If he had the power of his others, he would just mind control you into just understanding it and agreeing with it. But he does not have that kind of power here because he's not an evil guy. Actually, Pindar normally yes. But this is a special thing with him. He's in the wrong. So, I've thought about his character. Yes, he is in the wrong. Now, when he's in the wrong, he's not going to be cranky. He's going to be quite accommodating. He's going to be friendly, understanding, what he normally is not. So, that is how he typically works. Now, once again, later on in the universe, when you bring your problems to him, he's going to be cranky. But when he's the problem, he's going to be quite accommodating. Well, he's looking at you a lot, and you can see he's doing the wizardly gestures of like, Now he's casting a spell, because see, he can have telepathy too. Now, he's going to start with Pindar, because once again, there's a language barrier. So he is going to show his other self in your mind, helping Velma Shell. Now, of course, you don't know it's the other him, because the other him wears black robes. And you also wouldn't know it was him because the other guy's face, the bad guy, is horribly disfigured, and your wizard is not. So, that's another reason why I'm explaining it this way, because this isn't something where you can just look at him and look at the bad guy and say, you're him. No, the bad guy is horribly disfigured. He put it this way, one of his undead creations one day, he didn't quite have full control of it, and it about took half of his face off. But yes, he's going to show that his enemy and your enemy are the same enemy. Now, he's not going to tell you that it's him, his altar. And he's not going to tell you that he inadvertently drew his altar here. He's not going to tell you that, but he is going to show you that we have a common enemy. Because, once again, being a wizard, he don't quite know what your realm is, and he didn't create the stone that went to your realm. Because in reality, without your help, the wizard couldn't get to your realm. Now, once again, you do have the ability, because of your pool, to move across. And once again, once you've taken them there, he then could craft a spell to get there. Well, Rachel, then he's going to turn to you. Now, see, he can only do like 4x6 telepathy. So he can basically put thoughts and images into your mind. Now, he can't control you with those thoughts, but this is on a surface level. At this level of telepathy, he's not getting any of your secrets. He's just projecting surface thoughts, and at worst, he could read your surface thoughts. See, once again, this lets you in a little bit on the wizard. He's also reading your surface thoughts. Once again, that will give him a clue of, do I need to lie? Well, Smelly's gone away for a moment. Now, Rachel, in your mind, he's showing the end of the world. He's showing a zombie apocalypse. And he is also showing that horribly disfigured wizard in black. And he's not kidding about the zombie apocalypse thing. See, one thing he does, the evil wizard, is when he discovers a new world, he'll send some creatures over, or make a bunch of people wear creatures, and he'll kind of figure out who are the really powerful people. And then he will target them by creating giant things like, to let you know, like guys, last night, I wrote up an undead dragon. And you're not ready to fight the undead dragon yet. But, after you guys get much more powerful, that will be one of his big minions that he will throw at you. Because, you see, he has a mastermind, so he gets his equivalent points in minions. And, man, I don't know if I want to tell you this. Now, I'm not going to do this, I think, but his points, he could get 5 of those dragons in a small cave to keep them all in. We're only going to have 1. But if you are veteran players, I'd throw all 5 at you. I don't know how they're beating that, but good luck. But yes, Rachel, he basically shows you The Walking Dead with super monsters. And I mean super monsters. And once again, he does not inform you in these mental images and words, or mental words going back and forth, anything that he could be responsible for it. And he casts a spell. Well, the thing is, with Smelly, remember he cast a Gia spell on her. And because of, her things, this new spell he cast was actually on poor old Smelly. He's cast another Gia spell on her. To save the world. Yes, Smelly, you all of a sudden have a horrible compunction to be altruistic. The horror. Now, in game terms, what he did was a transformation attack. But instead of turning her into a lizard or, some other type of being, he just turned her into someone that has this horrible compulsion to not see the world in disorder. Yes, he's given you civics. So yes, poor Smelly, where he wants to convince the rest of you, to him, it's just an alloranthrope. Just another mystical creature to be ordered about like a servant. Now, you see, once again, with the bad guy, you can kind of see, where they are the same being eventually. Because, once again, he's not actually explaining over much to Smelly. He's just realigning her perceptions to what he wants them to be. Well, actually, Smelly, he cast a Gia spell on you. You want to save the world. You horribly want to save the world. I mean, you've never wanted to save the world before. But now you do. Matter of fact, it keeps coming in your mind. I mean, when you start to think about something else like washing yourself, and you think, I need to groom, but I really want to help people. I mean, horrible thoughts in your mind like that. Now, as a player, that can go away with a dispel magic spell. That can easily be dispelled. But yes, once again, the wizard, because once again, you're one of these more what's in it for me kind of people. Now, once again, because you're a what's in it for me kind of person, he's making it to where you want to help if you want to help or not. Well, it's okay, Smelly. See, a Gia spell forces someone to do something. A quest. Now, he's given you a quest to save the world. And you really want to save the world. You want the world to be a better place. Now, after you save the world, the spell will be broken. Now, it can be broken by another wizard, and really is somewhat of not that great power, really. In fact, probably about any magic user could do it. Well, yes, Pindar. Now, once again, for the Hermit's idea, is going to help you save your world. Because he don't want the wizard there either. He wants to stop his other self. So, in reality, he is your best ally. Now, once again, Smelly has a mercenary disadvantage. So, rather than risk being betrayed by Smelly, he's realigned her perception. well, actually with the telepathy, he knows that, and he's not really worried because he's not a people person. You know, one of his disadvantages I know is going to be he's a reclusive individual. In fact, he won't normally be socializing with you. You know, while you guys are socializing together, he will be off remember how I say his spells take time? He'll be off somewhere doing his spells and to get the effects he wants. Now, once again, as he gets experience points. Now, what would piss you off? Now, you don't know this, Rachel, but he was watching you fight that Terminator the entire time. He was in the middle of an invisibility spell. Now, one thing that his powers is good enough to do is invisibility. Not against tech stuff, but, you know, simple invisibility. You know, slip on the ring type invisibility. He can do that just like that. So yes, he lets you fight that entire Terminator and watched you do it. Because he was trying to figure out, are you going to be any good? Now, once again, he did understand that that thing moved through time. So to him, that was a good clue. Hey, I got the right person. Because someone from the future just sent something back to kill her. Well, yes, and like I say, you know, this is the way you get the full, because normally as a player, I won't tell you that. But being new, I want you to experience this as a comic book. So, you know, he's gonna be all friendly at times when he's in the wrong. And after you probably know him for a long time, you'll kind of figure it out. Now, once again, you'll probably get the idea he wants to make a good impression. He's manipulating you. Because once again, you know, he's not a true superhero. And once again, Smelly's not a true superhero. Now, Pendar is a champion of her people, about to become a superhero of her people. Now, Rachel, on the other hand, you know, she's a brand new superhero. So, you know, that will be interesting in origin. Now, once again, you know, Rachel's character, the media is going to love Rachel's character. And the media is going to hate Pendar's character. Typically, and depending on the day, Smelly's is going to get loved and hated. Just saying. Oh yeah, forgot something. Okay, we have Hunteds and Watched, and Smelly actually has a bunch of anime people that hunt her. Your Hunted did not show up during this gaming session, by the way. Now, had, you know, that you would have been sitting there in the woods and there'd have been like a teenage girl up there, you know, clicking pictures of all of you in the woods. But yes, fortunately, Smelly's hunted by, you know, a bunch of kawaii kitty activists. Well, Smelly, they didn't show up. But, you know, I'm just letting you know what that role that I just did was for. And that was, once again, for your little stupid Hunted. Well, I thought that was cute of what you're saying. You know, when they show up, you're going to bite them, you know, once you got that power. Now, I'm going to set up a fight with something. I don't know what. Oh yeah, I did a couple test fights today, and I did Grimgoth and Alfarius Kane versus the Hulk. The Hulk beat them both up. Just saying. But you know, rolling wise, it was funny. Now, to let you know, Grimgoth has only 15 more points than you. You know, before you think he's some great powerful being, you know, Grimgoth only has 15 more points than you do. Now, Alfarius here, on the other hand, Alfarius has 130 more points than you. So, you know, you will be equal to Alfarius after you get 130 experience points. But yes, Alfarius and Grimgoth just got their heads beat in by the Hulk. I think they did like 4 stun to him. And you know what? That's what we're going to start off with. Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's what I think I'll do. We'll start off with them as a introductory fight. Normally I won't be telling you junk like this, and I'll have it planned ahead of time, but since all 3 of you are here, because last night I was thinking that all 3 of you, you know, would be, you know, comparable to the 2 of them, and since all 3 of you are here, then that's what I will do. Okay, let's see. Who moves what where? Okay. Well, that's cool. Oh, I forgot about that ability. Now, okay, let's see. Now, in your world, we have the same technology, but a little better. You know, you have like 2 versions of iPhones up in that world more than we have. In Rachel, there is a supervillain alert come across your phone. Now, in your world, because of the fact that sometimes, ever so rarely, you know, you'll have, where we have like an Amber Alert, or, you know, there'll be a Storm Alert, you know, there's a Super Battle Alert. Now, this is interesting because when I used to play this game, there was no such thing as a smartphone. I mean, in reality, smartphones will, because you always had to find out how something happened. But because we got these phones that live life for us, it's going to make it a little weird for me, but, you know, as a game master, we have our first notification on a phone, on a mobile device, of a super battle. And it's at the Federal Depository in Champion City. It's being robbed. Well, you know, we'll get to Lightning Tigers later. But yes, now, the question is you are the heroes, or heroic alike. Now, Rachel is explaining to you that there's some sort of villainous activity, miscreants. Now it's up to you people what you want to do. See, as a game master, this is an open world. I don't corral you into doing anything. You guys do what you want. You know, you're not goody two-shoes people. Now, Rachel seems to be a little more of that than the rest of you. So, you know, I'm going to let you mingle with yourselves for a moment. And you tell me what you want to do. Now, see, fortunately for me as a game master, you know, Alfarius is a violent maniac. You know, he's just going to sit there and fight the cops. You know, he's going to sit there and cut cars in half and, you know, laugh at cops and let them shoot at him. Even though he don't really have any defense against bullets other than the fact that, yeah, it was something I was going to buy on him later was regeneration, but he doesn't even have that now. Now, fortunately for them, he has Grimgoth with him, and Grimgoth casts protective spells about them both. So that will make the bullets bounce. Yeah, matter of fact, he'll stand right next to Alfarius, and he'll cast a protective spell, and there ain't anything those cops can do other than get beat up. They can shoot, and the bullets will bounce off Grimgoth and him all day because of the protective spell. And then Grimgoth has a big mace, and then just goes around and beats cops to death. Grimgoth isn't nice. I mean, matter of fact, he can kill a cop in 1 or 2 blows with a mace. Actually, with knockback, he can probably kill a cop most of the time with 1 blow in a mace. Or cripple him horribly to where he wish he would be dead in 1 blow. Now you see, as supervillains go, you know, most supervillains are focused and they do supervillain things and go off. You see, there's a thing with Alfarius and Grimgoth. They both don't have any, they're smart people with no sense. You know, that's kind of a bit about them is Grimgoth is so old and so jaded, he doesn't take anything seriously. You know, that's one of his disadvantages. I mean, the asteroid could be coming right at him and he's just not going to take it seriously. Well, the wizard, because see, now the wizard offhand, he particularly does not want to fight Grimgoth, but he is not going to tell you that. He is just going to now use his magic so you all fly. Now, once again, he has a limited thing he can do, but one of the things he can do is make an okay speed at a little bit of flight on an area hex. So he can basically pick you all guys up and fly you there. Well, Smelly, this is, like I say, we're just starting and getting together. Now, once again, if you watch origin films, so like Super Teams, they always start a little clunky. And that's always how it is in gameplay. But, you know, after the second or third, you know, where everyone knows what to expect from each other, and you get your basics ironed out, it flows really quick, and you get into it quick, and you can stop really quick. Now, Pindar, you're going to find this interesting, fighting Alfarius. You can understand every single thing that he says. Now, that will be a little bit odd to you, because you don't know English. And he sounds like he's saying English, but you hear it in your language. You see, Alfarius is a horseman of the apocalypse. He isn't just saying that. And because of the fact is that he is partially a supernatural entity, he can communicate with anything. I mean, animals, anything he can talk to. Now, he also talks to inanimate objects. Now, the inanimate objects do not answer him. Although, something does answer him. And it's all up here. Because he is insane. But yes, he can communicate with anything. Now, and he also tries to communicate with things he really can't communicate with. Oh, no problem, Smelly. Now, fortunately for you guys, when you're getting there and you're watching the cops running for their lives and the ambulance is pulling up and the ambulance is on fire. That's what Grimgoth is doing, by the way. You know, when they pull up, the new vehicles pull up, and he says is setting them on fire with fireballs. And now and then you see a medic running off in the distance, stop, dropping, and rolling. Now you do hear his battle cry of, "It is I, Grimgoth!" And Alfarius is on some long diatribe, and he's talking to a stuffed bear. Yes, Alfarius talks to stuffed animals, and as he fights, he tends to carry a few of his little friends to critique as he goes. Because you see, Alfarius, as he fights, likes to give a running commentary. Now, he has no one to say it to, but to some of these objects, like this tiny stuffed bear in one hand, he has a tiny stuffed bear in one hand that he's preaching to, and he's got a big, giant, magical battle axe in the other. Now, he has to make a perception roll of at least a 12 to see you immediately coming in. And he does. Now, Grimgoth, however, has just rolled 18, 3 sixes, on his perception roll. Which means Grimgoth is completely oblivious to your arrival. I mean, he's off doing his own thing. He's probably getting the gold. I mean, matter of fact, when you get in there, he's going in the depository. I mean, they've been at this about 2 hours before you got there, and they've not even went in to get the gold yet. So, unfortunately for Grimgoth and your team, you're going to get to fight Alfarius without him. Because remember how I said in 18 tends to be something bad happened? So yeah, Grimgoth, he just walked oblivious into the depository. And Alfarius is still talking to the bear. And all of you get to go first. Starting with... Well, PU will have to... Oh, I forgot. You got that... Remember that giant super leap we gave you, PU? You get to go first. Because PU has super leap. And super leap for PU, she can jump 240 feet. You know how like the world's long jump is X amount? If Smelly does that same thing, her jump is 240 feet. So you're within 240 feet, so you can super leap and attack. Now, your super leap is 20. Now, once again, that will add momentum to your attack. Matter of fact, it will add 4 dice of momentum to your attack. So I'm letting you know this because, like say, typically your strength is 25. That means if you jump and kick, you know, you can do 9 die 6 damage. And once you get martial arts, you can do 14 die 6 with that. And that's serious damage. So once again, you know, because you have your strength and your claws right now. Now eventually you're going to get martial arts, but you know, that won't take too long. You're all on your way. Now you make your jump. Now he is not seeing you at all. Remember how he's sitting there talking to the bear? So even though he saw you come in, he's paying attention to the bear. See, this is a part of his disadvantages. You see, he saw you come in, but he's too busy with the bear, so he's going to get half of his defense. So that means you get a +6 to hit. And you rolled a 9. That means you hit with a 3, which is double damage. Now, that was 9 body and 30 stun. Now it's doubled, so that would be 18 and 60. Now I look at his defenses. Well, now his defense is 21. So 21 is higher than 18, so it did no body damage. But the stun was 60, and you minus the 21, so Alfarius Cain took 39 stun. He has 30 constitution. That means you stunned him, which means he will not get his next attack. And now, Rachel, it is your turn. You saw Piyu make a giant leap, hit Alfarius. The bear goes flying. He staggers back, and he's doing the Mortal Kombat thing. And it is your turn, Dragonfly. You have your flash, and you have 2 various blasts. Oh, yes, Smelly, with Breakfall, yes, you can. You know, just on the way down, you grab stuff. You know, Spider-Man, when he always fell, that was what he did. He had the Breakfall skill, made his roll every time. If not, he would have splattered, and he would have been Flat Man. Okay, now, his DCV is severely compromised. Now, it didn't hit him with double damage, but it did hit with 49 points. He has a 21 energy defense, so that means he took 27. Now, added on to the 35, 42, 52, that means he has 3 stun left, and it is your attack, Pindar. Now, normally I went over everyone on what they can do. Now, you have your strength and your magic power pool. Now, you can take that pool and turn it to strength, because you talked about being a strong person. So, I'm assuming that's what you want to do. So you make your magic roll, you've changed your pool into strength. And, by the way, with your pool in strength, you can do 14 die 6 of damage. That is very serious. And 622, that's a 10. And it's under an 11 or less, and that hit. Okay, he took 39 more stun. He only had 3. He's out by 38. His recovery is good, 12. But unfortunately, it keeps him out for a few turns, which means you have just now defeated Alfarius Cain. Now see, once again, Alfarius' problem in the beginning was one of his disadvantages. You know, he does not take things seriously, ever. He could have had, not got that negative attack in the beginning, and that allowed Smelly to stun him. So once again, one of his stupid little disadvantages just cost him the day. Now, that bad roll for Grimgoth, you've beaten Alfarius, but the Dark Elf has went inside the gold depository. Now, you took out Alfarius so quick, there was no, I'm not even giving him a perception roll. Now, normally if you had been like a big fight, it would have gave him a perception roll that he'd say, hey, something's wrong. But now you guys just, boom, 1, 2, 3 together, you took out Alfarius. So that means Grimgoth has no ideas you're coming. Well, actually, Smelly, you knocked it. You are the reason why he got nailed so quick. Your double damage. You stunned him and set him up for everyone else. You know, Alfarius is more powerful than you. Remember, you guys don't understand this. He is 130 more points powerful than either of you singularly. You know, Grimgoth and him are your equal altogether, and maybe even a little more. It's just sometimes they're boobs. Remember the disadvantages they have to play that make their character unique? Well, they just fucked up. Now you see, that's another interesting thing about villainous disadvantage. Sometimes you can exploit them. Like, for example, now, I shouldn't tell you this, but if Alfarius was still up, you could talk to his animal. Remember how he's talking to that stuffed bear? Well, you could talk to that stuffed bear too. And argue between him. Because he believes the stuffed bear is real. So once again, that is one way that you could get into Alfarius' head. With a stuffed animal. Or you could even bring your own stuffed animal. And talk to it. And you never know what you might get out of him, but you know, once again, I'm just explaining it to you as it's one of his exploitable disadvantages. Now, once again, if Grimgoth is seeing it, he's going to put his hand in his face and tell him, you know that's not real. And then Grimgoth will probably blast you to end the silliness, but like today, you know, they're made to fight together as a team, but unfortunately, Grimgoth rolled that 18 on a perception roll, and he's in the building. So, are you going to wait for him to come out of the building, or are you going to go in after him? Your choice. I say, you can give you time to think. You know, there's no hurry. You know, Grimgoth's in there playing with gold. And in reality, my supervillains completely screwed, you know, as a game master, my villains completely screwed up my fight. You know, because I was actually... Now, it does give you a little show of how this works, but it was supposed to be a dramatic super battle, but sometimes, you know, the villain will be tougher than you expect, and other times the villain will completely accidentally roll over, like we just had here. So, are you going to wait, or are you going to go in? Final Jeopardy. This way I give you chances to change your... I'm not influencing you anyway. It's just, you know, being the format we are, you know, I have to give you the guys the ability to deliberate on your own. Okay. Well, you get there, and what you see when you get to the big vault, Grimgoth is shrinking the gold down. You're seeing he's casting spells, and just like these mighty piles of bars are becoming like little, and he's just like putting them in a bag. You know, like I say, he's taking the pallets of gold and he's shrinking them down about this big, and then he's lifting them up and putting them all in a bag. He's a bastard, isn't he? You wondered how he was going to steal all the gold, didn't you? He just shrinks it down really, really tiny. Okay. So who's going to try to sneak up behind him and steal the... Well, you can't... How are you going to steal the bag? I mean, he's not noticed you yet. In fact, your first attack, whoever attacks first, will be at bonus. Now, you can hear he is wearing chainmail under his clothing, because you can hear it clank. And he's got a big mace that he has on his hip. So, Rachel, you're going to flash blind him. Oh, yes, Pindar. Until you switch your powers into something else, you currently still hold that power. And that's how multi-power works. Or not a multi-power, but a multi-vary pool works. Multi-powers you use one at a time. A multi-vary pool, you can actually use any ability, but, you know, only to a certain advantage, and it costs more than the multi-power pool. Okay, so, Rachel's going for a blind, and he's blinded. Now, how long is he blinded? Yes, you have now blinded him. And he dropped the bag. In fact, now Pindar's going to go up and whack him, and Pindar, you got a +4 to attack. And you rolled a 12, so lowering that by 4, you hit with an 8. Which means he takes 14 dice 6 of damage, which is the equivalent of a semi hitting him at 70 miles an hour. So you understand that the force that you're physically hitting him with, yes, that is just as if you were hitting someone with a semi at 70. $60, $50, $40. Oh, he's so screwed. Oh, man. I mean, when I made them, you know, I'm like, these two perfectly fit point-wise with you guys fighting. He's got like 5 stun left, and I've not even done the knockback damage yet. Because you've knocked him 140 feet. He resists 80 of it. So he still takes 6 dice 6 of damage going against the wall. And his armor activated. He takes 8 more stun. He only had 5. So he's unconscious by 3. So you see he's all groggy around and he is still blinded. And it's your turn, P. You gonna whack him? Or what do you want to do, P.U.? I know you guys were worried about Grimgoth at one time, but, you know, like I said, you know, he's tough, but he's not that tough. You know, I'm not going to scale things against you that you can't beat. Because that would be wrong for me. So that's when... It's like if I accidentally do that at some point, then I have to throw you something else in to counterbalance it. Because running games, sometimes that happens. You know, and sometimes like now, you balance it right and the villains just don't produce. You know, I expected one of you to take damage at least, not just walk through your equal like they're nothing. But it makes a really good look on a comic book page, I'm sure. So yes, PU, what do you want to do? But yes, PU, you can jump him. You know, he's still mostly down. He's not out. Now, matter of fact, he could get back up. I'm guessing Smelly may be away from keyboard or thinking. Because in this game, there'll be a lot of time where you guys will just be hangout time. And that's one reason why, you know, we have our official music channel. Because, you know, there's no pressure in this game, especially with new players. Okay, acrobatics. Made the acrobatic roll. You get a, what is that, DCV 0, so you get a plus 10 to hit. You hit with a 2, which, you know, 3 as low as it goes normally, but you hit with a 2. Yeah, he's definitely up. You have now captured both Alfarius and Grimgoth. Damn it. Drop my lighter. Yeah, I said a bad word. Damn it. Now, what do you guys want to do now that you defeated the villains? You know, you may want to... Well, actually, take that back. The police are already getting Alfarius out front. Thinking about it. Okay, oh shit. Now, you hear a female voice. And it says, "It is I, Girlgoth," in a female voice. And you see that she's holding the wizard and she has a wand pointed to his head. And she says, "Throw me the bag." Yes, you have had a surprise visitor. Yes, there's another dark elf there, a quite attractive female one, of a slender build. And she has the unconscious wizard right there and a wand pointed to his forehead, and she's demanding the bag of gold. Girlgoth has her priorities. So, are you going to throw her a bag, or is someone going to try her? You guys are winning too easy, so, you know, I had to throw in a side something anyway. Because, you see, I planned for this. If you were winning too easy, once again, if you weren't winning too easy, Girlgoth would not have appeared in the scenario. Well, you're still in where form? Are you going to attack Smelly? And if so, she's holding the unconscious wizard, and like I say, she's got a wand right to his forehead. You are the quickest being here. And she's Girl Goth because Grimgoth was such a drunk, he had to pick something that he'd remember. Girl Goth, whatever, just name the stupid bitch that. I mean, that was, how he actually named her. Okay, now, she is very quick. You only get to attack at a +2. And by the way, Girl Goth is so quick, Smelly is the only one quicker than her. She outquicks the rest of you. And Smelly gets a +2, rolled an 11, so Smelly hits with a 9. 26. She failed her armor roll. You did 13 stun to her. She has 17 left. And she disappears. Yes, you did a little over half of her stun with that hit. And before the next one of you could hit her, she has cast a teleportation spell and she got her butt out of here. Because that was the spell she had prepared. Because she wanted you to throw that to her and then she was going to pop out. But now she didn't get away with the gold, and though you have now saved the wizard, you notice he didn't show up in the fight. That's because after you came in, Girl Goth ambushed him. So yes, you saved the wizard, you've ran off Girl Goth, and she didn't get the gold. Now, that upsets her. Now, you guys didn't know it, but she just wanted the gold. She was leaving Grimgoth one way or the other. After all, they may be father and daughter, but they are dark elves. Now, what are you going to do about the bag? Are you just going to leave it in the vault? Or are you going to take it with you? Now, unfortunately for them, their pallets of gold are all shrunk down this big. I mean, ironically, each of those pallets of gold, which would be worth millions and millions of dollars each, are all the same size now as a gold ring. Now, I mean, the bank is not going to be happy. I mean, can you imagine the Sasha was saying, now, what are you going to do about the bag? I know there's going to be, so you have to decide that amongst yourselves. Well, Pindar, now, you do have a pool of your own. Are you going to attempt to break a spell with your pool? Well, Rachel, if you take it, then you're bank robbers. Remember that. And you are supposed to be the good one. I'm joking. You can do whatever you want. I mean, that's the fun of this game. You get to be the superheroes. You get to face all of the super questions that super people get to. You know, you had your first hostage situation with Girl Goth. And by the way, her wand probably wouldn't have killed the wizard, by the way. It probably would have hurt him, but it probably wouldn't have killed him. Now, but of course, Girl Goth wasn't going to tell you that. You know, she wanted to make it look like, I'm going to spew his brains out. Actually, your pool, you can switch it into whatever you want. Now, if you made a power, remember how I say the wizard uses certain things to gain effect. Now, one of them would be uses. Now, once again, it's like your pool is typically an 8-die-6. If you wanted to give like a power limited uses for the day, you could double the power that you're using. Like say 4 uses, like you could shoot an 8-die energy blast. But if you made it to where I can only shoot an energy blast 4 times in a day, you could shoot that at 16 dice. You know, something that would cut a car in 2 easily. Just saying. No, Pindar, it's not. This is literally superpowers. Now, once again, just like the wizard has hit a pool half your size in reality. It's just, I understand how the pool works so well. You know, I'm making the wizard optimize it. See, that was the thing with him. Instead of just casting magical power like Doctor Strange, you know, he has to be a guy of forethought. That all, in this way too, as a game master, I'm making sure he does not overshadow you. You know, I'm making sure that you don't become a background character in your own story. You see, I'm being clever in that way. Okay, so she switches your pool, because that's your magic skill roll. Your magic skill roll switches your pool. If you fail on that switching the pool, you can't do that, and it stays at what you had last. Until you change it again. But you made it into something to try to break the spell. And you cast that. And it does. And that bag bursts, and then skids of gold pop out. And now, this problem, he just put like 40 skids of gold in a bag. And you just return them to normal size. So there are bars flying out in other directions. Now, once again, if you're an experienced player, I would probably have some of you having to make rolls of being hit or not. Like, say, your dexterity. You know, I'm not doing it this time, but like here, Smelly made her roll. Pindar, we just got hit with bars. And so would have Rachel. But, you know, once again, you know, I am toning it down a little bit. Because, you know, I figure a gold bar to the head hurt. But, you know, fortunately for you, none of you were hurt. But miraculously, and gold bars went flying in every direction. Now, Pindar, you can transport from right here. In fact, if you wanted to, you could transport everyone to your world. If that's what you wish to do. Well, I'm just kind of giving you some understanding of the world. And once again, the 20th game session, the bars are going to hit somebody. Just saying. Because, you know, you got all of this mass in a bag, and it's just basically, boom! You kind of made like a gold bomb. I bet it would be impressive, too. I mean, like, on a special effect on a TV screen, you know, you see basically a bag explode into, like, gold bars fly everywhere. So you made your pool roll, your magic skill roll, and now all of a sudden you're at Pindar's house. Now, there's another reason why I did that. I asked you about that. See, I led you a little bit because there's going to be a ton of police outside that have never seen you. And considering that one of you looks like a cat and one of you looks like a lizard, and none of you are vulnerable, all of you are vulnerable to bullets. You know, because, you know, that way they'll all be sitting out there with their guns, and then they'll run in and, you know, they'll tie up Grimgoth and take him to jail, and then Grimgoth will go, "What in the fuck?" And then Grimgoth will cast a teleport spell, and then he'll be out of jail. Now you see, this is a problem in early universes of super people containing supervillains. Now, when I started playing Champions, I started when the game was brand new. In Champions, after about a year or two, developed a module called Stronghold, which was a super prison. But at your world, there's no such thing as a super prison. So some people like Grimgoth, unless you get someone to cast a spell on their cell to where no one can teleport out of it, they're going to get away. That's also another reason why I picked Grimgoth and Alpharius in the beginning, because once again, they both get caught, but Grimgoth will just teleport to Alpharius, and then he'll just teleport him and Alpharius back home, and Girlgoth will be mad and call him names, and "You're gonna leave me, you bitch!" And the problem is that, why, Dad? You would leave me? So yes, that's what's happening later in the evening, is Grimgoth is, yelling back and forth, and Alpharius is talking to his little bear. They're only in jail for hours. About 4 hours after they're in jail, they miraculously escape via teleportation. Now, the wizard could have done something about that. But once again, he was knocked unconscious, and you saved everyone and took them into your realm because, as a game master, I didn't want to have you and the police thing start out right now because it couldn't be good. I don't want to start that off as the relationship in the beginning. Because almost all the time, players at some point will do something to make the police shoot at them. Just saying. But yes, that's our, that's been our first 2 hours. So we have had our first game session, and let me see. I'm going to give everyone 4 experience points. Usually you would get about 3 for this, but you played everything well. You played your characters within parameters. You thought about things through the lens of your character's perceptions. You played well. There wasn't... I'm trying to think of how they put it. I'm a little bit tired, but yes, you've now defeated Grimgoth, Girlgoth, and... Now, Girlgoth is 250 points. And Grimgoth is built on 265 points. And as I said, Alpharius is 380 points. Alpharius, where you guys and Grimgoth and Girlgoth might be considered, lower level guys, Alpharius is big league. That's one of the reasons why that Grimgoth likes Alpharius so much. Because, once again, he is a serious villain. And you can buy anything you want with your experience points. Now, once again, my play testers, I gave them a few experience points. So that means currently Pindar has 4 points, and that means Smelly has 7, and so does Rachel. And when you have where we talked about with Smelly, with Rachel, when you get about 20 points, we buy your force field. You have 7 of those 20 points now. So when you get 13 more points in experience, we buy your force field. And then those bullets will start bouncing off of you. So, that's something that people need. And like Smelly, we're going to give you regeneration. So eventually you're going to regenerate like Wolverine. And that's going to cost 20 points. And you have 7 of them. Now, you also talked about getting the bite that would turn someone else into a kitty person. That only costs 10 points. So you have 7 of those 10 right now. Or you can save it for something else. Once again, your attack would be better if you save up for martial arts. Now, because of your strength, that's going to cost you 25 points. But once again, you get to save up your points and spend them however you want. But that also shows you after we play, for a few months, you're going to have all of these things. And you can change your mind as you want. So this is another thing, you can think about your character customization all the time. And like I say, the points will be there just whenever you want them. It's like in X-Men. Jean Grey was Marvel Girl. She was a telekinetic. She had hundreds of adventures and never spent an experience point. And then basically one day spent all of her points and became Phoenix. And that's one thing that characters can do. They can always save points for a major transformation of the character, or do like we're doing right now and going to buy the things that we really would have wanted you to have in the beginning. And if we're starting off with a higher limit going in the campaign, then you would have those things. Now, you would also have some horrible disadvantages. And that was something I didn't want to do to you in the beginning. I wanted to keep everything a little bit simple in the beginning. But a lot of your people that you're going to fight early, they're going to be in no league of you later on. When you guys get like 150 points of experience on you, the guys that are you fighting now, they will have to fight you in large groups. You'll be smacking them around like they're nothing. And that's one cool thing about the game is, you might not feel you're getting stronger, but when you face that same guy again and you just wipe the floor with them, you see it. So yes, you guys have met. Now, we're going to start our next game session in Pendar's world. So, I have no idea what it's going to be, but we talked about reptiles and insects. And I have dinosaur stats in here too. Where's the classic? I gotta try. Yeah, here's a Triceratops. Here's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. A Tyrannosaurus Rex has a 48 strength, by the way. Now, let's see, 53. If you did 78 stun in one shot, you could knock out a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Its DCV, let me see, it would be 6. It's got 3 on persistent. Okay, so, for example, Pendar. You would have like a +5 to hit a Tyrannosaurus Rex. With your 70 strength of 14 die, you could do serious damage to a Tyrannosaurus Rex, put it that way. In fact, you probably could, if you hit with a double damage, you could knock that Tyrannosaurus out in one blow. So, in Blazing Saddles, you remember when the Mongo knocks out the horse? With your full strength and a double damage, you could knock out that Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just boom, Tyrannosaurus Rex goes down. But, I just want to kind of give you an understand of some of the scale that you're using. But, once again, with that, think about it. If you hit with double damage with a vehicle doing 70 miles an hour, that's about what you would expect if you wanted to punch out a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's why I say that this system is just so wonderful, but it never caught on. It never became a major game, but it is so unique, and I hate to say the word perfect, but it's the closest word that I can think of. Because understanding it thoroughly, I can do anything with it. And I can also scale it to effect. Like in our earlier edition, we talked about the Kingpin and the amount of force that he was getting hit with. And that's why I explain it in these terms, because, once again, Pendar with a 70 strength at full pull, because Pendar wanted to be the brick. So, this way with the pull, it lets Pendar be the brick, and then we also give Pindar various other random abilities with that pool, and we didn't have to make Pindar cost a zillion points. But yes, this is our introduction to champions and your improvised super team. Now, once again, the wizard, he just really wants left alone. But unfortunately, the world is out to destroy itself. So anything that he would consider that would be a problem, he would like to get people to involve in. Now, you guys are going to get some NPCs here and there. And when Nicolina does stop by and play, I've got her powers wrote up, but we have to finish the rest of her characters. And I might make, depending on what Nicolina wants, because first she gets her wants, but I could see where she might be affiliated with the government of some kind. Well, yes, Smelly. And that's why we're going to do this kind of informally, and that's why I was kind of letting you in on a few things that I might normally not, because I want you to feel this as a comic book. Now, once again, on this channel, I will tell stories about your adventures. Yes, I will. And this right here was issue number 1 of your little super team. If you look at your life here as a comic book, this was your premiere issue as a team. And also, rather than our regular time, if we get together, we can play. If you guys want to have solo adventures with your characters, we can schedule a time that we can play on the side. And that's just by DM. Or if we talk to each other in chat and just say, do you want to go over there in game? We can come over here in game. I just have to have this device set up. So that this will be interesting because we will get to develop Pindar's world some. Because, you see, DC started out with Earth and Krypton. That was really bad of DC. Oh yeah, let's make our first superhero the ultimately powered thing ever. Now, I got it in a book out of the barn, but I have the statistics for a Superman. Now, Champions made it a villainess. But yes, I do have all of the stats for a Superman. And I wouldn't dare put you on the same field with it. I mean, it is so overpowered. I mean, to the extreme. But it is Superman's abilities. Now, okay, Smiley. Well, really, the best thing really is going to be an attack. You remember that martial arts that I said? Because right now you're doing 5 dice 6 with a physical attack, which is a bit weak. Now, once again, if you buy martial arts, you're going to get better attack. You're going to do twice your hand damage with a kick. And you remember that leap that you did? You could add 4 dice to it. So in reality, if you get martial arts, and with that leap maneuver that you did in this one, that can be equal to Pindar's strength. So even though it costs 25 points, and the other 2 are cheaper, you might think about that. But, with being vulnerable to bullets, that's bad too. And that's going to take 20 points. Excuse me. So this is one of those things where we talked about me and you maybe playing on the side. It might not be a bad idea for you to get a few extra experience points so, you can get that attack and regeneration. Okay, I didn't see Smelly stepped out. Okay, well, I'll talk to her about that on DM later. But yeah, we're towards the end now, and we're very, very low on power. So, it's just basically hang out and bullshit. our sessions ended, you can think about things to talk about, and I have created a bunch more villains. Now, one thing that I may do is just make a stream and talk about the villains I've created. Kind of like a rogues gallery stream. I thought that might be kind of cool. That way you guys might get, hear something fun you like. And, I'll of course talk about the supervillain's origins. What you would publicly know. Not their intimate disadvantages, but, what would be publicly known about them. And tell that in like a little story. And I think that could be interesting because, as I said, I wrote up a bunch of things today, including Girl Goth. Now, just between you and I also created, because see, Girl Goth is Girl Goth. And Girl Goth is much like Grim Goth. And so, as you can see, Girl Goth was more than willing to betray Grim Goth. So you'll never know what will be happening. And that's what I created Girl Goth to be, is a wild card. You notice that Girl Goth wasn't trying to rob the bank, but she was watching with a crystal ball. And when that gold was there to be taken, she sure showed up. Because she knew that you were going to beat her father. How did she know this? Because she is convinced that her father is an idiot. So you could only have beat him. And the wizard failed his perception roll and got took unaware. Because Girl Goth has a pull that's as strong as yours, Pindar. Because she's also a 250-point starting character. But I also made it to where she's semi-redeemable. Now, see, you guys, you're not, quote, the straightest arrows there are, and neither is she. And so I've actually made it to where Girl Goth could reform it sometime, or just get mad at Grim Goth and want to piss him off. And being a superhero would really piss him off, but unfortunately, you didn't have that kind of encounter. Now, if Grim Goth had beaten you, somehow, she would have tried to rob Grim Goth. She would have tried to have stolen the gold. But, you already beat Grim Goth for him, so she just was planning on hostaging the gold out of you and getting the hell out of there. So, you'll get more of them, and because you see, Alfarius hates to be beaten. And unfortunately, you beat him too easily. So, he's going to want to fight you again. Just saying. Grim Goth doesn't. Whatever! Let's just go do something. Get something. No, we cannot. He wants a piece of you guys. Just saying. So, at some point, I'm not going to spam him at you, but he's going to go on a berserk fury in the middle of the city at some point, demanding you guys show up. Because that's Alfarius. Now, it's not going to be next adventure. Probably not the one after that. Grim Goth will be holding him back. But, at some point, he's going to go into someplace important and demand you guys show up and fight him. Because remember, he is a horseman of the apocalypse. He is war. So that is what Alfarius likes to do. See, Alfarius, the gold is nice and all, but he was really there to rampage and steal gold. He needed kind of a reason to rampage, and stealing the gold was the reason to rampage, to where Grim Goth just wanted the gold and whatever. So, and that's why Grim Goth, I'm done playing with the police now. I'm going in and getting the gold. So, yes, you've now beaten Grim Goth and Alfarius, and somewhere Roger Brown is shaking his head, and it's like, What are they upset about? So yes, you've had your introduction to champions, and it all gets polished the more we play. From playing over my lifetime, it's always a little jerky, kind of when you start off, but eventually everything flows into it. People understand and feel their characters. You have a flowing game world, and we're starting on that. And like I say, over here before we go, I have my list of supervillains. I made her new gods. Now, there's a god of destruction, and once again, until you guys get like 150 experience points, the god of destruction is not even coming in the game. And here's Nicolina. Oh yeah, I forgot the heroes. I was looking on the wrong thing. Oh yes. Now, the undead in this book, I made them into a team called the Death Squad. Now, the elementals, the villain, he took elementals and bound them to humans. And he created a team of 4. Sky, Terra, Wave, and Pyro. Sky and Terra are girls, and Wave and Pyro are boys. Now, he's also brought a group of giants over here from another universe on a planet that's completely covered in giants. And there's 7 giants, and each one a different type. And they're a supervillain team. Now, he also did something else evil. He brought over a Medusa, and he gave her a giant snake that's blinded. And he also gave her 5 stone golems that are in the shape of Amazons. And she also has the ability to control snakes. And this book has 10 varieties of dangerous snakes wrote up. So she basically also has a big bag of snakes with her. And then, of course, there are 5 were people out there that have yet to meet each other. Now, Tommy, Don Tom, he was beaten in our introductory. Now, I wrote up Hunk here, and he has Hulk stats. And I fought him against Alfarius and Grimgoth, and he beat them like dogs. Now, this guy I wrote up earlier today, he is not a parallel of anything, but he's just a typical super strong man. But I bought him explosion on strength. So when he hits something, it's literally an explosion. Damage radiates out in every direction. So once again, if he hits one of you in the teeth and the other 2 are right behind him, you're all going to get hit with it. It's like an area effect punch that radiates out in damage a little less as it goes. And he's only a 250 point character. Now, this one here is only a 180 point character. Professor Perfect. And he's a scientist that makes weapons. Because you see, in every campaign, the villains have to get their weapons somewhere. So what Professor Perfect does, he creates things to sell to supervillains for money. So he's not a very powerful guy. Now, he might have some powerful things he's laying around working on for someone else. Now, oh, okay, I remember this one. Remember Smelly? You wanted to be a mercenary. I created you a competitor named Headhunter. And he's your basic super mercenary type. He's not got superpowers, but he's basically on Batman level. You know, where you actually do have superpowers. You know, he is a Batman level normal. Now, there is a super person here named Quickling. And they age at 4 times fast. So despite the fact that Quickling looks like a 16-year-old girl, Quickling in reality is a 4-year-old girl. So once again, a 4-year-old mentality in a 16-year-old body with superpowers. So, you know, that's a supervillain with a dilemma. You know, that's, do you put her in jail or do you try to reform her if you catch her? Because after all, she really is only a 4-year-old. And then Daredevil had Bullseye. I created Marksman. And he has the same power as Bullseye. He can throw anything as a weapon. And then I wrote up Spider-Queen. Now, I told them about Spider-Queen in the last one. And I named her Letitia. Because she has a horrible disadvantage. She lays eggs. And spiders can have like 1,000 to 2,000 young a year. And if she's allowed to breed and her eggs hatch, they let's say in a human generation, I don't want to say overrun the earth, but maybe. You know, I'd have to sit down and do the math. But they could definitely turn the United States at least into a graveyard in 25 years if they went unchecked. Now, Marvel also had an alchemist named Diablo. And I just created one called The Alchemist. Now, I created another fellow called Quickie, that's a male speedster. And I also created Darkheart, which is meant to be a main villain of Dragonfly. Now, once again, where I told you I made Ernie as Lightning Tiger, I created his arch nemesis, Dr. Thumb. And that's Jimbo. And then Carlos the Jackal is Trophy Hunter. And of course, that's Smelly's nemesis. Now here's Thelma Shell. She has Mastermind and incredible wealth. That cost her 75 points, by the way. Now, fight-wise, she only has an alien torch, a whip. Now, she does have the Serpent Staff, and it gives her a 10-6 mind control on serpents only, serpents and reptiles. And she does have a magic wand. She got that from the big evil bad guy, and I created her first minion, Jimbo the Clown. And then I created a super reporter, Darkpool, and his nemesis is Black Flag. And there is a supervillain out there that I'm not going to tell you his name is, but he's producing monstrous beings. And one of them is called Razorback. Now, from another time is someone called the Sinister Sorceress. And her partner is the Sinister Samurai. And they're from our far future. Because the Sinister Sorceress has a time jewel. And she uses it to move through time. So in reality, these two are from far, 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 far into our future. And they've come back. And in reality, they're two superpowered teenagers from the far future that has come back to rule the past. And of course, they're going to have to be stopped. Now, the next one's the Brute Boys, and they're a government project gone wrong. Oh, the big soupy villain here. By the way, he's built on 430 points. You know, if you're wondering on what, our big bad guy, on what his points is, where you start at 250, his is 430. And he has a 60-point pool. Now, once again, using limitations, where you can, where we talk about where you could up your strength or, up a blast. If he does that 4 times a day for like an energy blast, he could hit someone with a 24 die 6. Now, that is more damage than what the Hulk hits at. The Hulk hits at 20 die 6. If he wants to use that, because that's one thing about him. You see, like the wizard you're using, I'm using his powers as best as they possibly can be used. When I do that to this guy, who is 3 times more powerful, he can be really, really dangerous. And that's why in the beginning, you're not even going to see him. But I have to have him rode up. Like his undead dragon here. It's bought as an object. You cannot knock it out. You have to destroy it to stop it. Now, entangling it will stop it. But it can probably break out, and it has a 60 strength, and its energy breath, it gets to use it 4 times a day, and it attacks at 16 die 6. So that's stronger than your good punch. And he also created a team of supervillains to do his bidding here. And I'm not going to go through them, but they're all right around your power level. A couple of them a little higher, a couple of them a little lower. But you see his villains here, they're from other dimensions. Because he has attacked world after world after world. So when he attacks a new world, he'll get a few new minions from that world. So that will kind of be a clue sometimes when you're running up against, villains from him, is sometimes they'll be really fucking weird. Like you're going to Pindar's world. It's going to be weird for you. Things from Pindar's world would look weird in ours. And once again, that's one way sometimes where you'll be able to tell that our big mystery villain is behind it all. Because those guys don't look right. They don't even look like people. And what in the hell is that? And the one that I was looking at was Jaws. And he's a giant shark man. Because on Champions for 3D, I actually randomly wrote up dimensions that he has been to. That way, I'm just not pulling shit out of my head. And one of them ended up a place of shark people with high technology that use sound weapons. So, there's basically a 8-foot tall humanoid great white shark in a giant diving suit with water in a sonic blaster is one of his minions. And I'm explaining that to you to say, sometimes when you see something extraordinarily weird, especially in a group, that has to be him. Well, thank you, Smilly. And we're getting very low on power, and this is where we're going to leave this game session. And if anyone wants to bullshit about it all, I'm more than willing, and I'm willing also to... It's like earlier today, I thought about coming on for a game talk. I was just bored. Our YouTube has kind of been lame today. Now, I may go live here in a little while on my other channel because I have saved this device and it's full. So I'm going to take a break, get a drink because I've been talking a lot, go to pee because you always should pee before the live stream. Now, if I could speak in others' live streams, I would always taunt Nicolina and rap with it. You got to pee before you start. So yes, as a veteran YouTuber, you always go before you start. So I will see you on the other channel later, and I'm probably going to talk about Jimbo, because Pindar, he put on, hold it before you go, on Jimbo's tab, he put up gambling. That's YouTube termination shit. If Nicolina gets that right now, she can take his channel down. Slam dunk. He put up betting cards on his community tab. He is doing sports betting on YouTube. You cannot even do this for fun, because I had thought about doing some silly stuff myself with like fake casino games. Even if I was just faking it. Termination. You know, I mean, you can't do that. Because I looked early in my channel, I looked into all sorts of things that might be interesting to do. In anything with gambling, you know, that's slam dunk, you're gone shit. Oh yeah, well they didn't. Okay, I just got the warning on this. We're about to lose this. But that's the one I'm going to go live about. I'm going to talk about Bob Loree and Jimbo and his illegal sports betting on YouTube. So I'll see you guys that feel like showing up over there here in about 30 or 40 minutes. But first, nature calls. And I will see everyone Wednesday that comes, and our regular session will be next Sunday. And Wednesdays, just show up if you feel like it. And if only one person shows up on the Wednesday session, then they get a solo session. But thank you for coming, and I enjoyed our game. Hope you have, and I will see you next time.